Wales, Africa and the World, the podcast from Hub Cymru Africa championing global solidarity and the connections between Wales, Africa and beyond. My name is Peter Gilby, and in today's episode, I'm really pleased to be joined by Diaspora and Inclusion Officer at Hub Cymru Africa, Oreoluwa Ojelade. In today's episode, we'll be looking into Ore's journey from Nigeria to Wales. We'll be looking at her role at Hub Cymru Africa and what her hopes are for the global solidarity sector in Wales and the African diaspora in Wales. And later on, we're going to be doing a bit of current affairs commentary. We'll be finding out what's been going on in Nigeria this week. I'm really pleased to be joined by Oreoluwa Ojelade. Hi, Ore.
Hi, Peter.
So let's start at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey to Wales.
Okay, my journey to Wales started October 16, 2020 as an international student, young, vibrant, hoping to get some form of education in the UK. So I studied media and communication at Swansea University, graduated last year, and I've had so many opportunities to be a leader, engage in classes, even though that wasn't how it started initially. So I had the opportunity to be a student ambassador at Swansea University because someone believed in me that despite the fact that I had suffered initially, I have the capacity to speak to other international students like myself, to bring them out of their shell and to engage in the university as an international student and know that they have a voice.
You did a little bit of that sort of community engagement and advocacy back in Nigeria as well. What first drew you to that sort of work?
I think I was just opportune to know that I was privileged. So like in Nigeria, as much as your privilege might blind you, you step out of the house, you realize that's not everyone's story. Mm-hmm. So I grew up in church. My mom forced me to go to church every now and then, especially on Sundays. And I had the opportunity to speak and interact with other people like myself and realize the stories they had to share were very different from mine. And realized that most of them, they had to go 10 times and beyond to get their tuition sorted. And I just have to sit down in the house and be like, hey, Dad, the bill is here, sort that out. And hearing their stories about how they have to go to the market by themselves to fend for themselves, that was quite sad for me because I don't think a child's responsibility is to feed for themselves. So I was angry. I was sad for them. And being the first child, I took up the responsibility for them. So I would tell my mom, oh, Mom, can you give me like 5,000 naira? So I would give my friend in church because she needed it. And my mom also was like a community leader. I wouldn't say she's a community leader, but she felt the urge of the community to give back. So I took that skill from my mom. So my mom was the first person that made me realize that other people around you are not as privileged as you are. So the little you can do, you can take them out of it.
And so back in Nigeria, you were working with the Women at Risk International Foundation, supporting survivors of gender-based violence. What experience did that teach you about working with, vulnerable people in the community, working with communities in general, I guess?
I think professionally, I'll categorize it into professionally taught me patience. Because in the sense that we all live in one Nigeria, there are different stories from different people. We have different tribes and there are different interpretations of things being done. So one way or the other, as someone that didn't grow up in a specific that area, learning about other people's culture and how they deal with domestic violence, how they deal with child marriages, you have to be delicate about that and you have to learn. So I was taught to be patient about it. Personally, it was a humbling experience in the sense that I have been sheltered my whole life. And only being stubborn made me realize that other people had to fight. So if I threw some tantrums with my parents, I'll get away with it. But other people didn't have the chance to do that. So it taught me two things: patience and humility. In the sense that the wealth you have today, I've experienced, tomorrow it can go. And I have my own fair share of like how the change of government could affect your personal upbringing. Because personally, when the new administrations in like 2018, 2019 came, I realized that it can be a shift of finances. So you could be food in the morning, in the afternoon, you're like, oh, where's my next meal coming from? So I learned to be appreciative. I learned patience and I learned humility during that process.
Sounds like it was a really impactful time Was there any particular moments or stories from your time there that stay with you even today?
I think one story that sticks to me, I can't share most of the details, is just the cultural sensitivity of people surviving domestic violence. I think most people in the community I grew up, Nigeria or wherever, they think about marriage as like the do or die affair. So despite helping this person and giving her the materials to leave, because she felt bad about what people were going to say about her leaving her husband for like 10 years, after they've been together for like 10 years, now coming to be single, she had to stay. So I think that stuck to me because as a woman, categorically, you don't have so much of experience because you've been taught to shrink yourself. So that stuck to me because I've understand that despite the fact that she knew what happened, society played a major factor in making her decide what she did, and also explaining that she's aware. I can't change her. I can just give her the resources, and also teaching younger women like myself independence, not relying on a man, and also sticking for yourself despite what other people, and having a community of people who would encourage you to grow was the most important thing.
Moving forward in time a bit, while you were at Swansea, you worked at the Taliesin Arts Centre, working with Black and minority artists to access funding and help with their visibility. Why are cultural and artistic spaces so important for this particular community in Wales, do you think?
I think it's important because that's the way you can express yourself. More often than not, you're limited to, like, I would say personally, the white media. And for you to be outrageous, for you to tell your real story, either you sing about it, rap about it, or paint a picture. So that's the way you can be your authentic self, showing how you express your emotions and the realities you're reliving. You can only tell a story through a song for people to actively capture it. If you just keep on rambling about it, most people often than not don't understand what's happening. So if I paint a picture of a lady crying in the middle of the road, you can feel it. You can sense that. If I have lyrics about people suffering, for some reason, you're going to be compelled to listen and sit down through and not dismiss it because you can feel the raw emotions. So I think visual art, music, and the society we live together helps share the stories of the African diaspora because it's easy, it's not restricted, it's free, and it's expressive.
At Swansea Uni as well, you were, as a student ambassador, you were really on the front line of helping brand new, fresh foreign students settling into Swansea, life in Wales, life in the UK. What were the challenges that they faced? Were they particular challenges to being in uni, or were there, common challenges with most fresh diaspora Africans who arrive in the UK?
I think for them, it's normal challenges, but it boils down to the fact that you're international as well. I think one thing I realized, that's why I'm international myself and helping other people, is that they don't understand your struggles. So especially with the job search, most people had the notion that you come to the UK, you apply for jobs, you get it. And that wasn't the case. So 1 month gone, 2 months gone, you don't get the job. Then you go to the career services and they're like, yeah, just put an application, just change your CV letter, not knowing that most people are rejecting you because you have 20 hours to work. The system isn't really built to understand the levels of the international students. So I myself been struggled and been forced to be an advocate because I understand the struggles. The university is not fully in the capacity to make the personal research because they have other things to do. So I think the job hunting, the loneliness is another thing. So coming from a country where the weather is probably, it's going to be hot today, it's definitely going to be hot. Then you go to Swansea where it's sunny like 10 o'clock, 10:01, it's raining. So it's a complete cultural difference, and it's especially for, like, most people come at a young age. I came at 17, so I can imagine a 17-year-old going through changes, figuring out how to feed yourself. The educational system, from talking one way or the other, you come to the UK, everyone is talking very fast. So now you have to change your environment, your thinking, your level of reasoning, in the sense that what was right in home isn't right here.
Let's move on to your current role at Hub Cymru Africa. You're the Diaspora and Inclusion Officer. I know that it's in sort of like a joint role with Hub Cymru Africa and the Sub-Sahara Advisory Panel. What is the Sub-Sahara Advisory Panel, and what is your role within that setup?
So the Sub-Sahara Advisory Panel is an organization that represents the African diaspora and the need of having a community to come together and also give back to their home countries. So I myself, as a Diaspora and Inclusion Officer, I serve as the connector that comes between SSAP, Hub Cymru Africa, as well as the government to help them, the diaspora we're speaking about, get funding, get the opportunity to network and interact with one another, to push their project they're doing back home in any of the African countries, especially if they're working with the Sustainable Development Goals and working towards global solidarity.
So does your role involve day to day then?
So day to day, I would say, is interacting with the members of the African diaspora, learning more about their projects, seeing what they're working on. Most often than not, they need funding. So we liaise with other staff members at HCA, speak to them about how to draft their funding application, go through the grant system, and also show them the funding opportunities available for them. And recently, I've been helping other people who have just moved to the UK start their own charity organization. So running them through the process, because they realize that you can leave home, but home never leaves you. So establishing links between Wales and Africa and connecting the knowledge you've learned from Wales back home and unifying it, because at the end of the day, it's a symbiotic relationship. You get from Wales, give back home, and grow the nations together.
So you touched a little bit then on how these links between Wales and Africa can be set up, and it seems like it's done through personal relationships, particularly when it comes to the African diaspora partnerships. Can you give an example of a particular African diaspora relationship or link that springs to mind, is a particularly good one, is particularly exciting or inspiring?
So I think one that comes to mind is Love Zimbabwe, because I can picture some of Martha's artworks. So Love Zimbabwe particularly helps unprivileged kids get some form of education, provides materials, and they had some access to the Welsh government grant and won it, and were able to utilize it to build the some of the communities in Zimbabwe and give back from what they've been able to win from the Welsh government to encourage the society to grow further, especially with young children who are orphans at the moment.
You also spoke about the support you give to diaspora organizations, diaspora individuals. It sounded like it was a lot of fundraising related support. Is there any other type of support you can give?
I think one thing we did recently is networking. So we held a networking event at the Grange Pavilion where members of the society in Wales, especially South Wales, who are into solidarity work, came together. So we had someone called Adowa who lives in London, has had several years of experience in forward leading solidarity work. So we had a networking event, had people come together, thinking about taking part in solidarity work, share why they had to stop, share the struggles. So learning stories from each and everyone, especially having the opportunity to have someone who was vast in experience, over 25 years experience, tell a story about the challenges of solidarity was really good. And also seeing similar reasons to why people struggle to have the maintenance culture when it comes to solidarity work was really good. So we have networking setups where we can hear from them, hear their stories, and see how we can better help them as well.
Looking forward then into the future, you work with Hub Cymru Africa, with Sub-Sahara Advisory Panel. What are your hopes for your time with Hub Cymru Africa? What's the impact you want to have? What do you want to see by the end of your time with HCA?
I want to see that I was a connector, and also I want to encourage more younger people to take part in solidarity work, especially with the fact that I realized there's no sustainable culture in that, because mostly it's the parents or older generation that are taking part in solidarity work. If they go, I don't think there's any continuation. So encouraging the younger people into solidarity work and seeing the importance of it. Like, you might be a member of the diaspora for a long time in Wales, but home is home. And also taking a piece of home around you, because people back home don't have the access and quality you have. So giving how little or how big it might be back home, and encouraging the young generation that you don't have to start big. You can start with little projects, maybe giving your £5, £10, whatever you can do, and maybe partner with other organizations. Volunteering would encourage you to keep the ground running so that solidarity work doesn't just die with a specific generation.
On that theme then, how would a young person get involved? If they wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that? How could you help them?
Firstly, start small. Get a mentor. And if you really want to speak to me and learn more about it, you can reach me at Oreoluwa Ojelade at Hub Cymru Africa.Wales. Get more answers to how you can go about it. But start small. Seek a mentor. Explore volunteering options. At HCA, we have a volunteering scheme as well. So register for that. Stay in touch. Sign up with our newsletter.
Sounds good. And just a reminder that our website is hubcymruafrica.wales, and all our volunteering information can be found there as well. Okay, welcome back to Wales, Africa and the World. Ore is still with us, and we're going to have a little chat now about what's going on in Africa, a bit of current affairs. So Ore, what's been happening in Nigeria this week?
Oh, so Nigeria has been a sad time for them since Friday. So apparently on Friday, some people were attacked at Benue in the north central of Nigeria. And we believe, it's reported that this was like a planned attack, because people were burnt in their houses, over 100 people in their personal houses, probably just chilling, having a great day. And this happened to them. So over 100 people have died. And you would think the leadership of the country would have responded almost instantly. But the first person who had to report about this were the citizens and international coverage. We only didn't get the president to speak about it till 12 a.m. this morning, with a tweet probably just dismissing what happened and saying, it happens every day, but it doesn't happen every day. You lose 100 people one night and being burnt.
So 3 days later, the president of Nigeria eventually responded to essentially a massacre.
Exactly.
What sort of president is he? How long has he been president? What's his name?
So his name is Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Okay.
He's been president for a year now.
Okay.
So he was inaugurated on the 29th of May, 2024. So imagine your first year of government. No one has anything interesting to say about you being good.
It's not very good, is it?
It's not, because in the sense that most people who are supporters see it like a tribal thing. I've turned into a tribal war.
Right.
I've turned into a thing about being Yoruba. So like there's a saying that if you don't support him, you're not fully Yoruba. So if I go on Twitter and tweet, I don't like you, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, they question my character, my culture, my ethnicity, just because I identify as a Yoruba woman and I'm not in support of his government.
That's really concerning. Is there any sort of signs of hope or opposition or any signs of improvement going on, particularly around this particular event?
So from the tweets I've seen, it's getting worse.
Right.
People are in danger. People can't speak up because they're worried about what can happen to them. And in the sense of the government, I don't think anything is going to happen because you believe that people who are struggling would understand the sense of the fact that a man who put himself there, because I wouldn't say that people in Nigeria voted for him. I feel like he rigged the election and won. The person the people of Nigeria wanted wasn't given the chance. I'm not going to say the person we wanted would have changed everything within a year, but I think there would have been signs of improvement.
If you're a young African diaspora person here, or if you're just, a young white person here, or anyone who's not in Nigeria, is there anything we can do to sort of show solidarity with the people that were massacred, with the people that are in opposition?
I think you should listen to the news more.
Yeah.
Because the international news is more or less reporting more than the Nigerian news.
Right, okay.
Still updated with X. I'm not a big fan of the app, but I think that's the only way people with real voices are amplifying the story, because that's the only access they have to tell their stories without being discriminated or being hushed. So stick to Twitter, stick to X, whatever you call it. Hear the stories, reshare the stories to people. There are GoFundMe pages on some people's tweets. You can give as much as you want or as little as you think you can, but just help them amplify the voices, because they can't tell their stories themselves. They need your help.
Are there any particular people or platforms or news outlets that would be best to search for? Are there any individuals that you follow?
Personally, I follow a random set of individuals on Twitter.
Okay, fair enough.
So I wouldn't say directly we have people, but I think personally, the news outlet I think that might not be necessarily corrupted or biased right now is TVC Arise.
Okay.
So you can stay updated with them, listen to what they're saying.
Cool.
And I think a guy on Twitter called Chooks also has like some relevant information about it. So stay updated. But like you can also check the hashtag Benue Massacre and see what's happening there. Live updates, real people stories, some Corey videos that are very concerning to hear what's happening.
Thank you, Ori. And that's it from Wales, Africa and the World. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Ori, for being an excellent guest. And if you want to get in touch with us about accessing fundraising support, governance support, volunteering or anything else, get in touch with us via our website, hubcymruafrica.wales. This has been Wales, Africa and the World. Diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you for listening.